against travel bans if they make sense. And when President Trump implemented them at the time, it made sense. But now we're hearing from Dr. Fauci, who can't even explain why they would have these travel bans from countries where there are 0 cases of Omicron. Does that make sense to you?
You know, it makes 0 sense to me, and it obviously made 0 sense to that great man of science, Dr. Fauci himself. And, you know, if you think about the absurdity of this, Stephanie, great to be with you today, by the way. You know, here's Trump called a racist, called a xenophobe for implementing travel bans. And now we've got this President Biden restricting legal travel while allowing our whole southern border to be completely wide open. And that was another thing that could not be answered by Dr. Fauci. He had no answer from that, for that when asked that question. He just said it was a different issue. But here we have an open border with hundreds and hundreds of thousands, over 1 million by this year's end, having come across, no tests, up to 25% or higher COVID you know, infections. And he's banning illegal travel. People are trying to do it the right way and allowing the illegal people who are breaking the law to come in and infect Americans. You can't make this stuff up. And it's just so absurd, so hypocritical, but very typical of the radical Democrats in the Biden administration. And once again, they absolutely are endangering, placing Americans, our national security, our public health, everything else in great jeopardy. And it's all done, and I can tell you, it's all being done deliberately.
Well, it's quite infuriating. And then you mentioned Dr. Fauci and his response to whether or not they're going to test illegal immigrants coming through the border who are breaking our laws. And again, he didn't have an answer, an appropriate answer for that, if you will. We have the video roll tape.
Anybody and everybody who's coming into the country needs to get a test within 24 hours of getting on the plane to come here.
Well, what about people who don't take a plane and just these border crossers coming in huge numbers?
You know, that's a different issue. For example, when you talk, we still have Title 42 with regard to protection at the border. So there are protections at the border that you don't have the capability, as you know, of somebody getting on a plane, getting checked, looking at a passport. We don't have that there, but we can get some degree of mitigation.
So his response is, that's a different issue. Don't worry about what's going on at the border. Okay, right. He talks about planes, but we know a lot of these migrants are being escorted onto planes and then sent into the interior of the country. And we're also learning that some migrants are coming, they've come in from 106 different countries. So they're coming in from all over the world.
Stephanie, I've seen that with my own eyes. As the House Border Security Caucus co-chair myself, having been to the border numerous times, even just this year, flying back from the border, I have seen with my own eyes, taken pictures with my own camera of just troops and parades of illegal immigrants coming on board the aircraft with little packets that had signs on them that said, "I don't speak English, put me on the right bus." Bus was crossed out, airplane was placed there in its place. And they're secretly doing this. They're deliberately hiding the information. They don't want people to know what they're doing. They've got midnight flights and later, or I should say earlier in the morning, going out into different parts of the country and putting Americans in great jeopardy. There are horrible things that are continuing to happen and even escalating on the border because of the empowerment of the cartels by this Biden administration. You've got murders. You've got dismembered corpses found. There was one just the other day. You know, there have been hundreds of dead people found down there. And just give you one quick example of what's happening with this open border. You've had 100,000 overdose deaths from drugs. And at the same time, this in fiscal year 21, we've had 11,000 pounds. That's 5.5 tons, folks. 5.5 tons of fentanyl alone. It's just incredible to think. And this is one of the most deadly drugs out there. I happen to be a dentist. I've worked in the operating rooms. I've done hospital work. I'm a healthcare professional. And fentanyl's been around a long time. It is an extremely concentrated deadly drug if it's misused or used by people that don't know what they're doing, and it's killing hundreds of thousands of people. It's unbelievable over the years. And since the advent of this Biden administration, it is getting nothing but worse, and people are being placed and deliberately placed in jeopardy and danger.
Yeah, it is getting worse. And then if you just think about it, the Biden administration is asking or is considering asking U.S. citizens to do something that they're not asking migrants to do. I mean, that's just, it's ludicrous.